A $200 million supertanker without marine insurance is not a vessel. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. No port authority will berth it. No bank will finance its fuel. No captain will take command of it. The ship doesn't move. The oil doesn't move. And somewhere downstream, in a refinery in South Korea, in a chemical plant in Germany, in a gas station in Ohio, a price goes up. Britain has understood this for 300 years. The weapon that built and maintained the British Empire wasn't always a gunship. More often it was a policy slip in a leather-bound ledger. In late February 2026, Britain pulled that weapon out one more time. What happened next will be studied in finance departments and foreign ministries for decades. Because America didn't blink, America didn't negotiate, America didn't ask London to reconsider. America built a replacement in 48 hours, and in doing so, ended 3 centuries of British financial dominance over global trade. Here's what actually happened, and why it's already costing you money. Let's start with something most people don't know because it isn't taught in schools, and it doesn't make headlines until it becomes a crisis. The British Empire didn't end in 1947 when India gained independence. It didn't end in 1956 when Britain humiliated itself at Suez. It didn't end with decolonization or devolution or the handover of Hong Kong. It retreated. It shed the visible trappings, the flags, the governors, the garrisons, and embedded itself in the infrastructure of global commerce, in the clearinghouses, the legal frameworks, the insurance markets. Lloyd's of London today controls roughly 30% of all global offshore energy insurance and sits at the center of the marine hull market, meaning a significant share of every supertanker, every LNG carrier, every offshore drilling platform on the planet is insured through a market operating out of one postcode in London. The Protection and Indemnity Clubs, the UK P&I Club, North of England Guard, cover the liability side. Third-party damage, environmental spills, crew injuries. Without P&I coverage, a vessel cannot enter most ports in the world. It's not optional. It's the price of admission to global trade. Britain has weaponized this before, quietly, effectively. When Washington wanted to pressure Iran's oil exports in the early 2000s, before SWIFT sanctions, before the full diplomatic apparatus was assembled, the London insurance market simply began withdrawing coverage for vessels calling at Iranian ports. No UN vote required. No executive order required. Ships stopped calling. Oil stopped moving. A nation of 85 million people felt the economic pressure not from a warship, but from an actuary's risk model. This is what financial empire looks like. No flags, no troops, just terms and conditions. And in February 2026, Britain decided to use this weapon against its oldest ally. Operation Epic Fury launched on February 28, 2026. American and Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear and military infrastructure. The details of the strikes matter less here than one diplomatic fact that received almost no coverage in the days that followed. Britain said no. Specifically, the Starmer government declined Washington's request to use Diego Garcia, the British Indian Ocean Territory base, arguably the single most strategically valuable staging point in the entire Indo-Pacific, for the operation. The official statements were measured. The functional message was not. London would not participate, would not facilitate, and would not be held responsible for what came next. Washington launched without them. Within 72 hours of the strikes, Lloyd's syndicates and the major P&I clubs issued formal notices. War risk coverage for vessels transiting the Arabian Gulf was withdrawn. Technically, it was an actuarial decision. The risk models flagged an elevated threat environment. The premiums would have been prohibitive. Coverage suspended. Technically. The timing was not a coincidence. This was the message London couldn't send through diplomatic channels, delivered through the one instrument Britain still controlled, the global risk market. You ran your war without our base. Now run it without our paper. Within hours of that notice, 150 tankers anchored at the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz. Do the math on that number. Each of those vessels carries roughly 1 million barrels of oil. At March 2026 prices, that's approximately $12 billion in hydrocarbons sitting motionless on the water every single day. Not moving, not delivering. accruing demurrage fees while refineries in Japan, South Korea, and India began drawing down strategic reserves. The Strait of Hormuz handles 25% of the world's seaborne oil and 20% of global LNG.